12 hours. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Martinas Valkūnas, and welcome to UK Cloud Infrastructure User Group, which is, as you know already, is the best user group here, where you can learn from the best. And just before I will introduce our speaker today, let me go through some upcoming very cool meetups this year. So just in a couple of days, 19th of November, we do have a topic about the serverless platform. 24th of November, which is next Tuesday, we have a hybrid cloud management with Sarah, which is working for the Microsoft. And we did Sarah as our guest some time ago when we were hosting live meetups. 1st of December, there is Kubernetes is not your platform; it's your foundational. It's your foundation with a manual, and we're going to have this one directly from Paris. 8th of December, how to make security pervasive without falling into the DevSecOps traps with Matteo, who is a Microsoft MP. So we do have some awesome meetups aligned this year till the next by the end of the year. So let me introduce today's guest, who specializes in business applications and is Microsoft MVP. She has over 20 years experience and passionate with problem solving and training others. And her expertise is in Sharepoint, starting 2010, Powerapps, Flow, Power BI. And today I'm super excited to learn about the Power Platforms. So Laura, thank you for being with us today and welcome to our meetup.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. So today the title Solution in an Hour. So I'm going to try and the demo gods better be with us today because we're doing lots of demos. So let's start with who I am. After that very good introduction, you don't need very much. I'm active on Twitter under Laura GB. My surname's Graham Brown and it's way too long. So I'm Laura GB everywhere. I have a blog called Hatful of Data. And I also have a YouTube channel, which has just hit its 900 subscribers. So let's move on to what we're doing today. So today we're going to start by creating a list in Teams. And we're going to work on the idea of an ideas app. So let's go with the idea of a manager says we should collect ideas from our employees. So his first plan is you scribble the idea on a piece of paper, you put it in the ideas box. Somebody at some point remembers to look in the ideas box and take the bits of paper out and give them to the manager and put them in his in tray. And maybe they remember to look occasionally, or maybe the administrator looks occasionally, etc. Or maybe it goes to the director and he or she deals with it, etc. But there's no tracking. There's nothing there. It's all on bits of paper. And before you even think that there aren't companies that do this, oh boy, there are. There's lots of them. So we're going to create a list, place to store the ideas. Then we're going to create an app for people to be able to submit an idea. And then we're going to look at using Power Automate to create approval for that. So a manager can decide whether that's going to happen or not. And then we come on to there is no point in collecting data unless occasionally you look at it. So we're then going to do a report on that data. OK, so let's move on. And I don't do PowerPoint very much. OK. So guess what? The next slide says demo. So we're going to move straight on to the demo. So please do put up questions as we go. I will keep a vague eye on the questions as they come through, and I'll pause occasionally just to see if we've got any questions. Okay, I've got the questions over on my other screen. So that's where I'll be looking occasionally. So let's move on to have a look. So here I am in Teams. Since we've all gone into lockdown, oh boy, we are spending an awful lot of time in Teams. So that's where everything is. It used to be Outlook, okay? But now, and by the way, I'm running Teams inside a browser because my desktop version of Teams is not playing ball today. So I decided to just put it inside a browser, put it inside Edge, and it will behave. So I've created a brand new team. It's got nothing in it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a list to put these in. So I'm going to click on the plus. And I'm going to search for lists, and there we are. We've got the cute little stripy icon, and it will go and add it. There we go, and we're going to click save, and there you are. Lists appears as an icon up here, and here we go. We can create a list. So for those of you that know about SharePoint and SharePoint lists and all their delights, this is basically a SharePoint list. Okay, so they give you lots of templates. Well, are we going to go for a blank list? These templates, by the way, are quite good. It is worth having a play around with them. If they're what you need, go and have a look at them. So we're going to have a name for our list. Is going to be ideas, and this is going to be ideas to make this a better place to work. And let's pick a color. Let's go for purple. And I'm sure there should be an icon in there somewhere. Hey, let's go for a little rocket. And then click create. So there's my list. Okay, as in SharePoint lists, they always have a title column, and you know what, that can be the title of our idea. And then I'm going to add in a column that allows them to write in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to put in multiple lines. And love the fact that it remembers everything I've typed in any boxes for ages. So I'm just putting in a description as there are multiple lines of text. Click save. We're just going to add in a couple more columns. So I'm going to put in an added column in here, which is going to be currency. So actually, what's the cost of having this idea? Currency format, we're not in the States, so let's stick to being in the UK. That will do fine. And let's go for a choice column. And this is, wow, this list of things is coming up. So let's put that in as area of the business. Okay, so here we got choices, and this is where it's being pretty basically. So I've got my choices. They're going to come up with some colors. So I'm going to put in areas of the business. So we've got a sales department. We've got an admin team. We've got production. And maybe this is not related to an area, but maybe this is in general. Okay, so for the whole company. So there we are. If you want to change different colors in here, we can pick different colors and pick what we like for that. But we'll have, oops, that's not, oh, bother. My apologies. Let's quickly just do that again. Area. Go on, give it to me. Thank you very much. Sales, admin, production. Oh, production spelt badly. And let's put into here general again. And this time, oh. And let's not let them add choices because that just adds complications. No default value, that's fine. And oh, that didn't save, did it? That's weird. That is really weird. There we go. And then click save. And there we go. And we're going to ask one more column, which is going to be the status of our choice. So that's going to be, oops, status. Okay. So we're going to have a number of statuses here. So when it first gets put in, we're going to put it in as pending. Then we're going to have approved. So does the manager say, yeah, that's a really good idea, I approve that one to go ahead and be done? Or has the manager says it's rejected? So let's make that rejected a red color. And then we're going to have, has it been implemented? Spelling is not my best strong point in life. Implemented, and let's give that a yellow color. There we go. So, and the default value, so for new records, is going to be pending. So we can click save. So just to prove that works, and just so that we've got a row of data, it always helps when you're doing creating something like an app that you've got a sample row so you know that you're doing something. So every team should have at some point in life cakes on Fridays. And obviously they're going to have it delivered because we're in lockdown. And the cost, well, we're gonna, no idea how many people we've got working for us, so let's put in £200 there. And what area does that affect? Well, that's going to be general. And the status, I'm going to leave the status blank so you can see what happens, and then exit the grid view. And there we are, there's our row, and it's pending. Okay, so that's our data structure that we've set up. But we don't want people to come in here and edit them. We want people to be able to use an app. Okay, so let's move over to Powerapps. Oh, that's the wrong, that's the keyboard shortcut I want. So Powerapps is so let me start on the home page of Powerapps. So Powerapps are they've been around a couple of years now, but they are still new. Okay, so please be aware they are still very new. For anybody that's been working with Microsoft products as long as I have, you'll remember Excel in its early days when we all sat there going, why are we using this again? Why aren't we using Lotus 123? Because the early days of Excel, it was a little rusty, let's put it that way. So Powerapps, they are brilliant and they are developing a lot faster than Excel did, certainly. But please be aware, they are still new and they are constantly changing. So when things don't 100% work, do tell Microsoft, but be aware. Now you could say start from data, and there we are, there's SharePoint. So if I go back, that's not what I wanted to do. If I go back to here, I can open this list just to prove it is a SharePoint list. I can click onto there and I can open in SharePoint, which I need anyway. And there we are, there's my list. Okay, so behind Teams is a SharePoint site. I'm just going to copy that for a second because I'll need that in a second. So into here, we could say create an app from SharePoint, and it would create you a baby app and it'd be great. The only problem is it's only a telephone app. So it's got the screen size is telephone, and you can't expand that. So we're actually going to start from blank. So let me click into there. And let's call that solution in an hour. Tablet. So the phone is this one here, and the tablet is the bigger one. So I'm going to go for tablet. You can make a tablet smaller, but you can't make the phone one bigger. So press create. But if you are following anything about Powerapps on Twitter, you'll see that lots of people getting very excited about some changes that happened today about responsive apps. We're not doing a responsive app today, guys. Purely because it's only just come out and I've not had a chance to play with it. So here we are in Powerapps. Okay, this is referred to as low code. Some of the low code gets very long. but that's what it is. So so it doesn't require a whole lot of coding and stuff. So we can do some quite simple things. So I'm going to put a banner across the top to begin with. So if I go to insert, here are all the things I can insert. There's text, and I can bring in a label. And there we are. It's got a label. It's got the word text in it. So I'm going to put into there, submit ideas. Okay. Now, over on the left-hand side, I've got a number of views. This is the tree view that's showing the whole structure. And what I should be coming into here is double-clicking on these and renaming them all. Okay, I am not going to do that to everything today, just purely for time, but that's what you should be doing. And so there's a number of other things down here which I will show you. But if you go over to the right-hand side, there's a whole lot of properties in here. So I've got the X and the Y and the width and the height. So I'm going to change, so over on the right-hand side here, I'm going to change the X to 0 and the Y to 0, and you'll see it turns up in the top left-hand corner. The width and the height, okay, so I want them to be the width of the screen. So the height, let's make that 80, because that's usually works. And then the width. Now I'm going to click on the label width, and you'll see it appears up here. Or I could have gone and found it in this drop down. So typical Microsoft, there are 101 ways to do everything. So I'm going to take out that 150, and I'm going to put in parent. You see, it gives you suggestions. So I've got parent.width, which makes it the whole screen. Okay. Now I could go through here and find color, fill, or over here and do color or fill, or I could go to the home ribbon and do it all from here. So I can go, let's make it a dark blue. Let's make the text white, and let's make the text bigger. And let's make it centered. Okay, so we can put things in and we can size them according to your screen. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to connect our data up. So on the left hand side here, the little cylinder symbol there for data, and it suggests things you could connect to. It wants you to connect to the common data service, which isn't called the common data service as of yesterday, I think. It's now called Dataverse. Don't go there. It's a dangerous topic, Microsoft and renaming. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to find there's SharePoint, and under here I've got a connection because I've connected before that it's got my details in it. So there we are. We can connect to SharePoint. And over on the right hand side, sometimes this drop down list fills correctly. Sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't, you've got to put in the URL, which is why I copied it earlier. But actually, I can go for, there it is, solution in an hour. And it says, well, here's your lists. So I'm going to go for ideas. And I'm going to click connect. And there we are. I've got in your app, you've got your ideas list here. So let's see if let's put up a list of the current ideas we've got. Now lists are put into something called a gallery. So I could do that off the insert ribbon. There's gallery somewhere up there. There's gallery. Or I could do it off left hand side here, and I can drag in my gallery there. And it says, what data do you want to connect? So I'm going to click on ideas, and it guesses all the labels that we want to have in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that up there. Now I could do the proper, if I was doing this for a client, I would be doing proper resizing so that I come over here and I work out the height to be the parent width minus that width, height, etc., so that I know it'll be responsive later on. It makes it slightly easier. So galleries have got, if you've got multiple rows in here, you'll see multiple boxes in here. So we're going to go with really simple. I'll do layout, a bit more layout in a moment. So but we're going to do a form next. So I've got my cake's there. My cake idea is there, and I'm going to add a form next to it. So let's go for forms, and let's go to edit, and we're going to put that. See, I would normally I'd spend time resizing that to make sure that it fits and everything like that. It isn't connected to any data yet. So over on the right hand side, I've got a data source and I've got ideas. And what it does is it goes and looks at all the fields and goes, here you are, here's a layout. I'm going to go with that as the layout. So there are a number of things we can change here. So the first thing I'm going to change is I only want 2 columns. So there we are, it sorted those out. The next part is I'm going to say, do you know what, that title box, let's make it wider. And that description box, let's make it wider. Okay. The status, I don't want them to set that when they submit the idea. And I also really don't want them to add attachments either. So I'm going to click on let me click on the form. Let's click on the form. Nope, I haven't got the form there. So let's go back to tree view. So do you see here, we've got the form has been added and that picks the whole form. And inside the form, there are all these data cards that are the different fields. So pick the form and then I can click edit fields and I can turn around and say, do you know what, status? I don't want it. So let's hide that one. And attachments, I don't really want to do that either. So let's remove that one as well. Okay. So now I've got my form here. We're gonna make that a little bit shorter. So that we can enter things into there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the first thing we're going to do is be able to edit this record here. So there's my form. If I click on advanced, you'll see in advanced under data, you've got the data source, the form mode, so it's in edit mode so that people can edit things, but it has got nothing on the item. Okay, so the item here is I want it to be by default whatever is selected in the gallery. So I can click on item and it appears up in the formula bar. So into here, I'm going to put in gallery 1. And then dot. And so it gives you suggestions. It'll give you the most common one at the top and then alphabetical. So you get selected. Okay, so there we are. We've got that row is being shown here. Okay, so let's add in. So we've managed to do that. We'll talk about adding a new row in a second. So the next part we want to do is we want to save. If whatever changes have been made, we want to save. So I'm going to add in a button. And the default property for buttons is the on select. What code's going to run when it's selected? And by default, it says false. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a submit form. And we've only got one form, form 1, badly named, but hey. Right. So let's just move that to be below the form. There we go. Right. Oh, and let's just double click. I've just double clicked on that button and I'm going to put in the word save. So when I press play, free cakes because we're in what down, and free cakes on Fridays. Let's just add an exclamation mark because I want to make sure that you can see it up there. And we need cheering up. So if I click save, okay, my exclamation mark has appeared. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back into here and I'm going to make this description box a bit bigger. Let's move that one up a bit as well. By the way, I'm not a layout person. I'm not a UX designer in any shape or form. So I'm sure there are people who are listening who are a lot better at this than I am. So I'm just going to make that text smaller. So there we go. It fits. So that's what we've got it. We've put in the text. We've got it so we can edit a record. Now we need to be able to add a new record. Okay, so I'm going to insert another button. And I'm going to change this to say new. Okay. And the code that's going to run for this one is going to be new form. It's really not playing ball. There it is, form 1. Okay. So now if I press play and I click new, I can now put in a title up here. So better tools, improved workshop tools. Okay, and that's gonna cost us lots of money. And let's put it in an area of production. And then I can click save. And there we are. We've got our row here. Better tools, free cakes on Fridays. We've added a row here. Okay. So that's put my app into there. Now the one thing the one thing I get wrong so often, and this is I've done it here, is I've not saved this app yet. So I do need to make sure I save it. And if you don't save it and your browser crashes, you lose it. Okay, so you do need to do the first save quite quickly. And I probably should have done it before now. And click save in the bottom right hand corner here. See, there's my one done earlier today to make sure that actually it was all going to work fine. And once you've saved it, you need to be able to share it with people in your team so that you can come into here and you can share your app with the other people that are going to want to use it. So I can add in other people into here. I don't have many other people in my tenancy, apart from a person called Lego. And I can make them a user. If I want them to be able to edit the app, I can make them an owner, and then I can click share. Oh, I can't check. It's my individual one. So I'm in a personal environment. I'm in a development environment up here, so I can't share. But normally that's how you do it. So let's move on. So back into my app. Let's close that for a second. So there's my app. I've put some parts in it. The one thing you might want to do is to be able to cancel the edit you've just done. So we're going to put in a cancel button as well. And that cancel button, the action that's going to happen on that cancel button is a reset of the form, which should set everything back to as it was before. So we're going to put into there a reset of form 1. Okay, let's. So we've got our app is there that we can add some new ones and we can save them. What we can't currently see is what status they are. So they should all be pending. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is we're just going to add a little text field that says which status they are, and then I'm going to do something for the graphics. Okay, and then as we submit the ideas, the next part is to create a Power Automate to use to put approval in for some of these things. Okay, so we're going to add a text label. So we're going to go to the plus button there. Now the text label, if I drag it, that will put it onto the general screen. If I drag it up to, oh, it's misbehaving. Wow, it really is misbehaving today. Okay. If I I can't select. I'll select my gallery. If I select my gallery and go up into the top section of my gallery, okay, so the top row, which is referred to as the template, okay, we can insert a label into there. Come on. And there you are. You see it appears on all of them, and it's put in the item, the cost. So maybe we need that as well. Okay. So I'll worry about formatting the cost in a second. So let's add in another label, and we're going to knock that into the area. I'm going to change that. So I'm going to go for this area dot, and then it gives me all the columns in SharePoint that it possibly could be. And I'm going to bring in status. And because it's a choice column, you have to put in dot value. Okay, and there you are. We can see they both say pending. So I'm then going to go to the, so I want to be able to change that picture there based on what the status is. At the moment, I want them both to say pending, but it will change over time. So I am going to go for, I want to add some pictures. So we go down to the media section here, and we're going to upload some media. So, oh, that's a whole lot of Twitter pictures. Let's go back down to here and go into demo and solution in an hour. There we go. So there we go. I've got 4 pictures. Now there are limits to how much media you can put in here. You see down the bottom here it says upload no larger than 64 meg, and I think there's also a limit of 200 meg in total. So what I can put into here, I could just put in the pending icon. Oh, that's an interesting problem. Pending .png. Let's see if that works. I might regret calling that one pending. Okay, let's put in a different one, and then I'll worry about the fact that accepted. So there we are. They both got the right icon in there. I am just going to go and quickly, can I rename that? Oh, okay, that does seem to work. Let's see if we can sort that out. So what I'm going to do into here is I'm going to do a switch. Okay, it's like an if, but it's or a select case for some of the programming languages out there. Okay, and I'm going to base this off this item, which is how you refer to the item, the row that you're on. Dot status dot value. Okay, and we're going to then turn around and say that if it's X, let's expand that down. If it is accepted, and funny enough, the picture is going to be the accepted picture. If it is rejected, funny enough, it's going to be the rejected picture. Or we can have implemented. Hopefully we can spell that. And then it's going to be the implemented picture. And if it's none of those, I'm really hoping I can convince this that it's the pending one. Let's see if that works. There we go. Okay, so the other thing that's in here is you've got a thing called format text, which will lay it all out prettily. Sometimes it's not quite what you want it to be. You want it to be a bit different to that, but it tries. Okay, so oh, by the way, for those of you that are coders and developers and things like that, the comments is 2 forward slashes. Okay. So there we are. We've got our little display here, etc., and it's all in there. So once you've done all your changes and you want people to be able to see this version of your app, you need to come into here and we need to click save. And we're going to click publish. Okay, so that's given me my app. But to get people to go to an app, sometimes it's a little bit difficult. So we're going to go back into our teams. And I'm going to add a plus. And I'm going to put in Powerapps. So this is not Project Oakdale or Dataverse or whatever they've called it. Yeah, it is Dataverse. This is adding an existing app that's from somewhere else. Okay, so solution in an hour, and I'm going to click save. It sometimes takes a little while to load, but there we go. There is my app inside Teams. Okay, so your users don't have to go anywhere to find it. They can find it in here. But obviously, these ones that are pending, okay, and that does need, if I have time, we'll format that, but I am aware that we're at 40 minutes already. So the next part I want to be able to do is, so you get a new entry on the list, okay, and what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to trigger an approval that happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our list here. So in the SharePoint version of that list. Are there any questions? Anyone awake?
No, we don't have any questions yet.
Okay. Here's my list, and under Automate, I can drop down that Power Automate, and I can go Create a Flow. And this will give you access to some templates that are related to your app. So here we are. So they're related to your list. So here are some suggestions. Okay, select approval when new item is added. That's what we get. Start approval, sorry, when new item is added. So I'm going to click on there, and this will start up. This will start up Power Automate and suggest the template it's going to use. And what it's doing down here is it's going to tell you what connectors you're going to use. So all of this is just like there's lots of things in the Microsoft platform. You've got to have access to various things. So here are all the things it's going to use. And I'm going to click continue. And we'll give it a minute. So when a new item is created, now I'm just going to make sure that actually it's used. So I've got a weird connection called Bob in there, which breaks. So there we are. It's got my list. It's got my idea. Okay. And then it does starting an approval. So it puts in the details of please review. So I'm going to change that text there to say, please review the idea. And then there's the title of the idea. Okay. So that title has come from this step up here. Created by, and who it was created by, and what the link is. So, but you know what? We're going to put into there. The details of there. Okay, so I'm going to press. There's a add dynamic value or control space. So control space. And I'm going to put in the description. Okay. Assigned to. Now, obviously, it should be assigned to somebody other than me. If I'm doing it for my team, or it should be the team lead or whatever. But because of ease of demoing, I am going to put it in as me, and there are way too many versions of me in there. So I'm going to put in Laura at. Person I'm logged in today. There we go. Consultant and agony aunt. Okay, and we can put in other text inside that details as well. Link to the item, so that will give us a link that a person could click so they could see what item they're approving, and the description, the name of it that will go on top of that, so it'd be a nice link that appears in there. So that's the first two steps. Then it goes, so if it's successful, it goes to this condition. If it's not successful, and you can tell that's what it's doing, is because these three, the line there is red and dotted. Okay, it goes to this other side that basically says an approval failed. Okay, so that's the safety net on the right hand side, is what happens if it's failing. Over here, it's going for if yes, if no, and it sends an email. So, but I want to add some extra actions, and actually we're going to get rid of the email. We're going to get rid of the email if we get a chance, but I will watch time for that one. So we're going to add an action. And we want to update the status of, so I'm going to type in update item. Okay, and you see you get all the different connectors that have got a possibility for that, but they are Sharepoint update item. And it's asking you what you want it to go in there. So I'm going to go for the site address. And hey presto, it's not going to be there, is it? Oh no, maybe it is. Solution in an hour. And the list, so once you've got the right URL there, it gives you the list. And the unique ID, so which row item on that list are we going for? So I press the control spacebar again, and you can search at the top here. So I could search for ID, and there you are. It shows me all the things that possibly could have ID. So there we are. I've got when a new item is created, the ID of it. That will work. Now, a weird thing in here, you don't have to fill in all the fields, but the one you do have to fill in is title because it's required. It's an oddity. So I'm going to come into here and I'm just going to type in title. When a new item is created, the title, there we go. And I'm going to change the status to be approved. Okay, so that's all that done. Now, I want to do exactly the same thing on the rejection here, but instead of having to redo all that, I can do is I can click on the three dots and I can go copy to my clipboard. And then I can add an action here and I can go my clipboard and there's update item. And instead of saying status value approved, I can put rejected. Okay, so that's my two things. Now, so I can, these steps as well, just like in Powerapps, you should rename things. So you really should rename things, update item to rejected, and you really should go through the whole thing and put those in there. You also can add a comment in if you want to add some text into there as well. That will put that at the top, but it's not very visible what's happening there. So the comments don't work as well as I'd hope they did. So that's all sorted. When a new item is created, start the approval. So let's save. Oh no, let's put in new idea posted as my name of my flow. Save it. And then I'm going to come back onto here. Yeah, I saved it. Didn't you notice? So there we are. There's my description of my flow. Okay, there's various things we can put in that they've put in this description. I can change that if I wanted to. When it runs, you'll see it's running here. So let's go to our app. Let's do our app in Teams. And let's go for a new item. And let's put in coffee machines. You'll notice there's a theme in my examples. I live on caffeine. And hey, it's going to cost £1,000. Let's have a really nice coffee machine, and let's put that in the admin area. Actually, no, let's be honest. Let's give it to the salesman. So we're then going to click save. Okay, so that's been put to there. Now we need to wait for our flow to trigger. Okay. And this, so the flows don't happen instantaneous. The flows go and actually check. And I think on my tenancy, it's about every minute, every couple of minutes. Of course, the demo gods are playing havoc. So one of the questions that gets asked quite often when I'm showing Power Automate to people that are used to doing things in Azure is comparing it to Logic Apps. These are basically the same as Logic Apps, except Logic Apps you can get your hands dirty a lot easier, and you can do a lot more. You can do some more things. So these are very much aimed at the citizen dev. So here we are. I've got my flow. It's running. If I click on the start time, it'll show me what it's done. And there we are, new item. So that gets a tick. Start and approval is waiting. So it's waiting for the approval to happen. Now, what I've done in Teams is I have added on the right-hand side here, left-hand side even, approvals. So you can find approvals by clicking in here and searching for approvals. And then if you do a right click on it, you can pin it. Okay, so if I go into approvals, you also will get the approvals via email if you've got also it on your phone. You'll get a notification there. So here's all my ones I was doing earlier. But here's my please review the idea copy machines. So I can click on there. And I can see that there's coffee machines and lots of caffeine. I possibly should have put a line break in there and formatted that date a bit better, but those can be done. So I'm going to click approve. Okay. And if I go and look in my solution in my list, okay, and there we are. It's updated. I've got approved here. Now, one thing to be aware of in your app, okay, and for this, I am going to go to my app in a browser. Okay, if data is, so it's not showing here. Okay, and that's because this doesn't refresh by automatically. So you can sometimes put a refresh button in here. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's bring in a refresh button. So I'm going to bring in a different kind of button. So these are standard looking buttons, but we can also do an icon. So let's put that icon up in the top. Let's color it to be white. Under properties, you'll see there's a whole set of different icons I can go for. So I'm going to go for reload, and then I'm going to, on the action ribbon, I'm going to go to on select. So this is the same as buttons, the same kind of idea. And what we're going to do is we're going to refresh our data, which is ideas. So let's press play and click the button. Well, that didn't work, did it? It still says approved. It says approved, but the picture didn't change. I got something wrong there. Oh, it's not accepted, it's approved. That's my problem. Approved did. Let's just remove one of those. There we go. So there we are. We can see that it's been approved. Okay, and that's gone through. So let's just publish that for a second. Right. So we've got our ideas there. Well, we're now, so I said that we would do an app, we would do a Power Automate, and we'd also do a Power BI. So Power BI, let's do Power BI in 5 minutes. Right, we need to make sure that I've got, let's just quickly make sure that we've got the URL of our site. Okay. Now, Power BI is my favorite tool. Install it from the store if you can, because it updates monthly, and they've got some really good, the December update I think is going to be incredibly cool. So, and it comes up with this wonderful screen. If you're trying to learn Power BI, there's all sorts of resources here, that the tutorials, the what's new, it's all worth going and having a look at, but not now. So I'm going to click across there, and then what it does is it suggests some places you can go and get your data. That one's not bad. That one's perhaps not a good one, and that's weird. And their sample data set's also weird. It's a really old data. So don't go for those ones, please. We're going to go to get data, and there's none of the ones here, so there's no SharePoint mentioned there. So I'm going to click more. And I'm going to, in the top there, I'm going to type in share for SharePoint, and there's a whole set of them here. We've gone for SharePoint Online. So then there's click connect. And there's two versions. Okay, so I'm going to type in the site URL for a sec. One will bring through every single column, and it brings through a whole lot of rubbish that you don't need. But if you do need it, so you need people like the what's been who did it, etc., 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 do have a look at this one here. But actually, I'm going to go for 2. And then I'm going to have a look at the view mode. So I can go for all, or I can go for default. And the default, so that goes for the retrieve the column set in the default view. So if we just quickly switch desktops for a second, and here you are, you can see all the things that are in there. And I can even add an extra column if I want to, so I can show and hide columns from down here to change it. But these are my standard ones that I want. So let's go back to Power BI. And I'm going to, so then I'm going to click OK. It's going to ask me which list. And here are all the ridiculous numbers of lists that exist in a SharePoint site, but we just want ideas. So do you remember what he called it, by the way? Now, if that data was exactly what I wanted, okay, and it kind of looks like it might be, that's what I would go for. If I'm worried about it, I would go for transform data, and I need to tidy it up. Transform data, and that would be based off, and that would allow me to do things in Power Query. I'm just going to go to load because of time. And off it goes and fetches data. Now, this is SharePoint is not a fast data source, as I'm sure everybody on the call will agree with me. SharePoint is not a database that really should be storing lots of data. It's great for simple things like this, but for huge amounts of data, it's not. If you are going for huge amounts of data in SharePoint, go and have a look at data flows. They are faster at this than SharePoint, than doing it this way. So now I've collected all that data. It now goes, oh, now you want some visuals. So build some visuals with your data. So what we're going to do is we're going to show some, I realize I've only got 3 ideas. We might go and add a couple more in a second, just so we can see what they are. But we can do some really simple things, okay? So let's go and find out which different areas have got. So I'm going to bring in what's called a tree map. Let's drag it down here a second. And let's bring in, so I've got my things here. So let's go for area, and if I tick on there, it puts it in the group. And then I'm going to Now I could drag in ideas into values. Let's go for that. And there we are. I think we've got one of each, which is why that looks a little bizarre. That's fine. We'll sort that out in a second. I'll go and add some more ideas and then we'll refresh. And then let's go. So let's see what our ideas are. So I could click a table. The red dotty lines, is it trying to help? Which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So I'm going to put into there a title and a cost. Okay, and it's worked out its currency and it's put it in a total in there for me as well. And so I can click onto sales and there you are, there's just the copy machine. Okay, so we can then put into here, I'm going to put in a data card. And I'm going to bring in cost. So that's my total cost. See, and we can put in some nice reporting into here. Let's also bring in a pie chart, which I don't like pie charts very much, but hey, they're a bit different. And I can put into there, what I'm going to put into there is the status as my legend. And again, I'm going to bring in the ID and put it into values. Okay, so that works. I'm going to have to rename all those IDs. So I'm just going to show you one really quick thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new measure. Now, new measures are calculations that happen to go on this screen. Okay, and it's going to give me a formula bar up here. Now, this formula language up here is called DAX. And if you are having to learn DAX at all, the people you need to know are the SQL BI site. They are awesome at what they do. So what we're going to put into here is we're going to put in, I'm going to call it ideas. And literally what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put in a count of ideas ID, because they all have an ID. So that's fine. And now, instead of using ID by status, now I could go and double click on that and rename it, but hey, that's just hard work when you're doing lots and lots of reports. So I built that measure once, and I can then bring my ideas into there, and they are ideas by status. Always a good idea to put these things in as measures instead of working them through there. And I'd also probably come up with one that says total cost. Okay, so what I want to do is if I come into here and say, well, which are the ones that have been approved, you can see that they've been approved. Or I could have another table. I'm going to do one more table and then I'm going to publish and then add it to my Power BI. So that's all the ideas. I'm going to actually, let's just do it to this one here. So this one here, I'm going to add in a title. And I'm going to add in a title, turn on title, and I'm going to call this approved ideas. Okay, but now I want to filter this to only the approved ones. So I've got a filters pane here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the status and I'm going to drag it onto that visual there. So there's a filters on this visual. And it offers me the options that are there, and I'm just going to go for approved. And there we are. That's the only one that's been approved. That's the only expenditure I've got to be aware of. But that's the total cost of all of them. Okay, so we've got some different things you need to be aware of there. So if I go and click on general, my approved ideas will vanish. I've only got part of the ones that are here. Okay, so so they all react to each other in different ways. Okay. Let me just put in a text box because, hey, this report probably should have one. The one thing I would say about producing reports is make sure you've got an idea of what you're trying to do. Make sure you understand which question you're trying to answer before you start. So actually find out what people want to know. Okay, so there's a really simple report, not nicely laid out. I'm very aware of that, but it's got you some information. So I am going to publish that. And hopefully it's going to tell me where it's going to publish it in a moment. Come on, Power BI. Play ball. Wow. Come on. What I'm going to do, if the smoothing off it changes it. There we go. So I am going to put it into alpha. So these are workspaces that I've got in the Power BI service. So I'm going to go for alpha. Okay, and then let's go back to my my Teams window. It's not quite going to be an hour, almost. So I'm here. I am back in my team. Okay, and I'm going to put up another plus. And I'm going to go for Power BI. And let's look at under alpha. Can't remember what I called it. Solution now. There it is. And click save. And there we are. It is going to load my report. Exactly the same size. Now, the issue we've got, okay, here. Oh, I left that pane open. That was silly. I normally hide that pane completely so people can't see it. So the issue I've got here is when I go into my app here, and let's go for a new idea. And let's put into here Power BI training. Everybody should have it. Support for the sales team. So we're gonna put that into sales, and let's put in it's going to cost £1,000, and let's click save. So there we are. Okay, but when I go and look in here, this report, although that record's been added, this report is still not going to include. So we've still only got 3 items here. Okay, but if I go to Power BI on the side here, just to confuse you, it's slightly different. Okay, this is Power BI service online. So this is showing me all of my Power BI. So here it all is. Okay, and I go into alpha. Here, oh my goodness, that's a bit scary looking. Let's go back to a list for a second. So, and I then go and have a look for, do a search. Solution. There we are. So I've got my reports. That's what we've loaded, and I've got my data set. So that's the it pulling the data through, and this is the part that needs to refresh. So I can put, so I've got it refreshed at this time. Okay, and the next refresh says NA because it's not been set up. So I can come into here and I can go into settings. Data source can't be refreshed. Credentials are invalid. That just means they have been confirmed. So if I click on edit credentials, okay, I can turn around here and say I'm going to go in OAuth 2, and it's organizational data. Do get these right, by the way, guys. I would stick to one. Or don't put public unless it really is public, but I stick to almost everything as organizational, and that works. And the private stuff, it gets a bit upset if you try and mix private with other kinds of data. You gonna play ball? Wow. It's really not playing ball on me today. Let's press cancel. Let's try again. OAuth 2, organizational, sign in. That is not going to work. Can't work out why not. Let's try one more time. Okay, so that's not going to work there. Let's just see if this is an issue with Teams, Power BI inside Teams. So up in Office, and I'm going to go to Power BI this way. So Microsoft appeared to be getting us to just use Teams for everything. I'm waiting for email to appear in Teams, because then I'd never have to open Outlook again. Alpha. And solution in an hour. There we are. There it is. So let's go there and let's go to settings. Edit credentials. OAuth 2. Organizational. Sign in. Yay. There we go. It was just Teams doesn't love me. And so there we are, it's been updated, and I can set the scheduled refresh to turn around and go, do you know what? Let's update daily at a particular time, doesn't matter which, because hey, so it's 12 hours because hey, the Americans can't cope with 24-hour clocks. So it's you have an AM PM kind of thing, and you can add in as many well, no, you can't add in as many times as you like. If you're working on a normal one, you can do it 8 times a day. If you're working for a premium, in a premium environment, you can do it 48 times a day. So that premium can be either your whole company or your workspace is premium per user, which is the latest new thing. If you think you're going to go there, go and play with it at the moment, because I think at the moment it's free. It won't be for long. So that's put there. If I go back into my workspace, I can go and find it. And I can press the refresh button. And there you are. It's going to prepare to refresh. I don't believe it could have done it already. Maybe it has. And if we come back into here, back into my team, let's see if it's refreshed the report. No, it hasn't. Sometimes it takes a moment to come through. So we might have to convince it by doing onto another tab and then coming back again. I possibly was just too quick. There we go. I've got my 3 ideas pending. I've got my 1 there. And see, sales has now got 2. And so therefore, and my cost has gone up to 7.2. So there we are. We've managed to go from building a list, creating an app to maintain that list. And obviously that list doesn't have to remain as a tab in here. You don't have to have that in. I can remove that tab. Bringing in an app to add ideas to my list. And bring in a UI person because that's appalling looking. And then also bring in a UI person. And there's my report. So we've managed to do all 3 items in just over an hour. So do you have any, you guys are very quiet. No questions.
Yeah, we still don't have any questions. As I said, that this is the very first time that we are having the Power Platform applications, the session.
So that is a whistle-stop tour with some very, very simple stuff. Okay, it can get a lot more complicated than that. Now, have I got a window open that I can do this in? What I haven't touched at all is Dataverse. Okay, and Dataverse is I don't think I've got an app built because I think I had to delete the app I had. Is a way of having what we all know as Common Data Service, but it's now called Dataverse inside Teams. So here we are. We've got a whole set of apps that can be created. We've also got an app here called Employee Ideas, which I'm just going to click on just while I talk. Add to a team. So we're going to add to a team. I called the team, I think I called it General Solution in an Hour. Set up a tab and off it'll go and think about it. So this has the advantage of that it will build behind the scenes a proper database structure. Let's click save. So this is a lot prettier. It's one of the brilliant Microsoft classic templates. That's going to take a minute because hey, this is the first time it's a brand new team, so therefore it's having to set some things up. But what it does is, if it doesn't do it, I've got another team that's got it in. But what it's creating behind the scenes tables with proper option lists. It can have proper relationships, etc., etc. Okay, it's getting there. And it's a lot better data source for your data rather than a SharePoint list, which obviously has some restrictions. Now, inside Teams, it's a little bit more restricted. There are some data limits. There are some issues in what it can do. The reason I didn't do this one today is because at the moment you can't get Power BI to connect to it. Now, there are solutions out there to copy data from here to somewhere that Power BI could get to, but that doesn't. This is taking a while, so I think I'm just going to see if I can load up a different window while that's going. But it is certainly worth having a look at. Profile 10. I'm hoping I've got the right profile. We'll see what loads. Hey, we're in the right place. So it will appear in the other one in a moment, but I am aware of time and aware of watching a Power App build automatically behind the scenes is not very exciting. But Dataverse, I think, is something quite sensible to go and have a look at. Now,
we do have one question. It's not a more question, but it's just Tim saying that he really enjoyed the demo, but was not able to listen, just to watch for first 30 minutes. So, Tim, we are recording the session and we're going to post it on our YouTube channel by the end of this week. So feel free to jump in and watch the replay. I'm going to post into the announcement the link where you can find it, and hopefully it will help you to review and to replay the exact same scenario as Laura showed us.
So here we are. This is a Sandy and I did a demo for another situation, and sorry, another event. So yeah, I don't want the Teams app. Go away. So this is the employees' ideas. This is a template. Okay, so it literally is just a straight one, and this is gonna be my last last part to show you. Come on, load, play ball. Wow. It's getting there. It's getting there. So here we are. We've got our contributors. We've got our ideas. We've got our ideas that have been posted here, and people have put pictures in. So I can go into a campaign, I think. Okay, and here are some ideas, and I can submit an idea. Cake. There should be more cake. I can add an image. I bet you haven't got an image of cake. I haven't got images of cake. I've got images of lots of. There you go. I have a Lego person. That's obviously a picture of cake. And there we are. It's going to have a high impact. And how much effort? Low effort. Does someone need to buy cake? So there we are. I can put all those things in, and I can submit the idea. So this is literally the template of return to I. Thanks. And you get a nice message. It's got some nice features in there. And there we are. It's been put into there. There's my cake one that's appeared. Okay. So this is an example of what can be done. Now, this couldn't have been built in an hour from scratch. But it's got a nice search box. It's got a sort box. It's got all sorts of nice things in there that you can add. Okay. And hopefully, just while I've been talking there. Oh no, that's my. Oh no, it was in the same window. No, it's not on a different desktop. That's the one we're going to go for. See, that's why I don't. Oh, okay. It's still asking some questions and doing some things, but it's trying to set it up, and that literally is exactly the same one there. So there are some great templates out there, and the guys out there like Shane Young, etc. Shane Young does a really good YouTube channel on Powerapps. Matthew Devaney also does a brilliant website on some nice quick solutions, a cookbook. For Power Automate, John Levesque is the Microsoft evangelist for that, and Sandy Usia does lots of things on Flow as well. So there's lots of people out there doing Power Automate. Power BI is SQL BI guys, and SQL BI guys and GynaCube are two guys who they work for Microsoft, but the GynaCube is done in their spare time. They're not paid by Microsoft to do it. It is them giving a very honest opinion of what they think is going on. So let's just remember that. So there we are. I have got. So I've only got one more slide. I said thank you. Any questions? But just to go back to my slide about me. Please, if you have any questions, or if you want, or whatever, we are the Power Platform community are brilliant, as I imagine the Azure community are as well. We overlap in various places, but do reach out. I'm also on LinkedIn, so I look forward to hearing what people do. And if anybody's got any questions beyond this.
So let's wait for a few seconds or moments for questions. But Laura, thank you very much for a very interesting demo. It was this presentation was a full demo, so we learned a lot. And for all the participants, I want to say thank you for attending. Don't forget that we are running the very small initiative, Buy Me a Coffee. So we are buying a coffee for presenters that would have enough power to stay awake and prepare their presentations and share with us. And Laura, very much thank you for you of being with us, sharing all the power apps and the real life scenarios. I hope so that it was useful for our members as well. And once again, I shared the link on the YouTube channel. I'm going to upload that video, and you will be able to reply or to watch later or to share with your colleagues. So it seems okay. We have one more question coming, and Tim is asking, how easy is it to get the app into the phone tablet? Is it easier to keep it in Teams?
Okay, so going for the just to quickly answer that question. So going from my app here, okay, to get that onto a phone, let's get that onto a tablet. Let's go with the tablet first because that's the easier one. The tablet is easy because this app here is built for a tablet, and if they download into either the Apple operating system or Android, there is an app called Powerapps, and then they can, by logging in, they can then go and find the right app and they can upload it. So that works. This one here won't work particularly well on a phone, small screen, because it's not built to be the right shape for that. But there are ways of getting this to be responsive. Microsoft literally today have brought out new extras. I think they're probably going to be under. Oh no, I haven't got them yet in this environment. There are ways of making these responsive in the same way as you can make a website responsive. So this could be put onto an Android tablet, no problem at all. Android phone, you'd want it to respond a little easier. The one that works brilliantly in on the telephone is actually, although it's in Teams, if you, sorry, my apologies, moving too many windows. This app here that is built inside Teams, so using Dataverse, is responsive. Okay, so if you go and open that on a phone, it will work. And it's really easy to build one of these new apps in here under, I'm not going to go very far because it'll take a little while to load and everything. But under here, we can go create an app, no problem at all. And literally you can build an app in a really short time. It'll prompt you to build a table. So this way you do build the app and then you add the table into it. And that is a responsive app. So they work just as well. And that works inside the Teams phone app or tablet app. Okay. Reach out to me if you have any problems with that, and I can point you to the right people who at the moment are producing loads of stuff about responsive apps. Because they've just, the Twitter has been full of people going, look, new things. So there will be people over the place doing it. Okay. Any more questions?
And it seems that this is it. There are no more questions coming. So, Laura, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And it was a pleasure having you. And have the rest of the week.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.